Diana has been my wife for 8 years. 8 years of standing by me through unemployment, through losing my grandfather, through every struggle and triumph, as I built my career from nothing. She has been patient with my family, even when they never truly welcomed her, always finding excuses why she did not quite fit into their picture-perfect idea of who I should have married. I always told myself they would come around eventually. I was wrong, and by the time I realized how wrong I was, it was too late to protect her from what they had become. Before I tell you how my family chose a stranger over the woman who saved my life, I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible in your own family? Drop a comment and let me know where you are watching from. And if you think family should mean something more, then hit that like button and subscribe. You are going to want to hear how this ends. I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood in the suburbs of Ohio. My father, Richard, worked as a mechanical engineer until he retired, and my mother, Patricia, taught elementary school for 30 years before hanging up her lesson plans. Then there was Ashley, my younger sister by 4 years, who somehow became the golden child from the moment she learned to walk. I was the oldest, the one who carried expectations on my shoulders like weights, but somehow nothing I did ever shined quite as bright as anything Ashley accomplished. When I got accepted to State University, my parents said good job and moved on with their day. When Ashley got into community college 2 years later, they threw a party and called every relative within a 50-mile radius to brag about their brilliant daughter. I graduated with honors, but they could not make it to the ceremony because Ashley had a volleyball tournament that same weekend. When Ashley dropped out halfway through her second year, they told everyone she was finding her own path and that college was not for everyone. The double standard was so obvious it hurt, but I learned early to swallow that hurt and keep moving forward. I met Diana 7 years ago at the tech company where I worked in the IT department. She was in marketing, sharp as a knife, and twice as driven. We started collaborating on projects, and somewhere between troubleshooting server issues and planning product launches, I fell completely in love with her. Diana was everything I had never known I needed. She was independent, brilliant, had a thriving career, and came from a Jamaican family that radiated warmth. After 2 years of dating, I proposed the week I got promoted to senior systems analyst. She said yes before I even finished the question. Our wedding was small, intimate, exactly what we wanted. My parents attended, but their presence felt colder than the December air outside the venue. My mother spent the entire reception comparing our simple ceremony to the extravagant wedding she imagined Ashley would someday have. My father complained that we had chosen a hotel ballroom instead of a country club as if the location mattered more than the commitment. They left early, before the dancing even started, claiming they were tired. Diana noticed everything. She squeezed my hand tighter when my mother made another passive comment, but she never said a word against them. I told myself they just needed time to adjust, that they would warm up once they saw how happy Diana made me. The first few years of our marriage revealed a pattern I had been too naive to see during our engagement. My parents rarely invited both of us to family gatherings. When they did extend an invitation, there was always some qualifier attached. Ashley would be there, and space was limited. They wanted to discuss family matters with the implication that Diana was not quite family. The excuses piled up like snow in January, each one individually small but collectively suffocating. Our first Thanksgiving as a married couple, my mother prepared a green bean casserole with almonds, even though I had reminded her twice that Diana was allergic to tree nuts. When Diana politely declined the dish, My mother acted offended as if Diana was being difficult on purpose. For my father's birthday that spring, I received an invitation addressed only to me with a handwritten note at the bottom saying it was just for immediate family. Diana was my immediate family. She was my wife. But apparently that distinction meant nothing to them. Easter came around, and my mother insisted on taking a family photo. She arranged everyone carefully, my father in the center. Ashley on one side, me on the other. My mother standing behind us with her hands on our shoulders. Diana stood off to the side, assuming she would be included. My mother clicked the camera and said that was perfect. Diana never appeared in that frame. When my mother posted it on Facebook with the caption, "My beautiful family," Diana saw it. She never mentioned it to me, but I saw the way her smile faded when she scrolled past that post. Through it all, Diana remained gracious. She sent birthday cards to my parents every year, always remembering to include a thoughtful gift. She called my mother on Mother's Day, even though my mother barely spoke to her for more than 5 minutes. When my parents needed help with anything, Diana encouraged me to be there for them. She never complained, never demanded they treat her better, never asked me to choose. I loved her more for that grace, but I also hated myself for not standing up louder, for not demanding they show her the basic respect she deserved. 3 years ago, my father had a health scare that forced him into early retirement. His pension was decent, but not enough to maintain the lifestyle they had grown accustomed to, especially with the property taxes on their large house in a desirable school district. The annual bill came to $4,200, and they were struggling to cover it along with their other expenses. Without hesitation, I offered to take over the property tax payments. My father was the man who had raised me, who had worked long hours to give Ashley and me a comfortable childhood. Helping him felt like the right thing to do. My father accepted my offer with a promise that he would pay me back when things stabilized. That payback never came, and I never asked for it. For 3 years straight, I made sure that property tax bill was paid on time every January. $4,200 every year. $12,600 total. Ashley contributed nothing. She was still finding herself bouncing between part-time jobs and vague plans that never materialized into anything concrete. My parents never asked her for help. They never expected it from her. Diana supported my decision completely. We discussed it before I made the offer, and she agreed that family takes care of family. We adjusted our budget, cut back on vacations and dinners out, made it work. My parents never thanked us properly. The payments became expected routine, something they felt entitled to rather than grateful for. I noticed, but I said nothing. I was still holding on to that hope that someday they would see Diana for who she really was, that they would appreciate everything we had done for them. 6 months ago, Ashley met someone on a dating app. His name was Tyler, 28 years old, a bartender at a downtown club who played guitar in a local band on weekends. After their very first date, Ashley called our parents and talked for 45 minutes straight about how perfect he was, how artistic and free-spirited, how different from anyone she had ever dated before. My mother ate up every word, her voice bright with excitement as she told Ashley to bring him home as soon as possible. The following week, Ashley brought Tyler to meet the family. I will never forget that evening. My mother cooked an elaborate meal, all of Ashley's favorite dishes spread across the dining table like a feast. My father opened a bottle of wine he had been saving for years, something expensive he had received as a retirement gift. They asked Tyler about everything: his music, his dreams, his family background. his hobbies. Tyler talked about his passion for creativity and his journey to find his authentic self. My parents hung on every single word, nodding along as if he were delivering profound wisdom instead of generic platitudes about following your heart. Diana and I were invited to that dinner, which was rare enough to feel noteworthy. But the entire evening, my parents focused entirely on Tyler. They asked him thoughtful questions and listened intently to his answers. When they bothered to acknowledge Diana at all, it was with a quick, "How is work?" before immediately turning their attention back to the new golden boy. I watched Diana's face remain pleasant and composed, but I could see the tension in her shoulders the way she gripped her wine glass just a little too tightly. Within weeks, Tyler became the son my parents apparently always wanted, but never got from me. My mother called me one afternoon to gush about how Tyler had helped my father fix a leaky pipe under the kitchen sink. I remembered offering to fix that same pipe 3 months earlier, only to be told they would hire a professional plumber. Apparently, Tyler's amateur efforts were more valuable than my expertise and willingness to help. 2 weeks after that, my father called to tell me about the private concert Tyler had given them, playing guitar in their living room, while they sat and listened like he was performing at Carnegie Hall. I thought about the 5 years I had spent learning piano as a kid, how my parents had never attended a single recital, always too busy with something related to Ashley. But Tyler played 3 chords, and suddenly my father was a music enthusiast. Family dinners, which used to happen maybe once every 2 months, suddenly became weekly events. Every single time Tyler was there. The menu catered to his preferences. The conversations revolved around him and Ashley. At one dinner in September, I watched my mother present a new recipe she had tried specifically because Tyler mentioned liking Mediterranean food. She asked him eagerly what he thought, her face lighting up when he called it restaurant quality. Diana had brought a homemade dessert, something she had spent hours perfecting. My mother said thanks and set it aside without tasting it or asking about the recipe. My parents' social media told the same story. Every week, new photos appeared of family dinners with Ashley and Tyler front and center. The captions read, "Family time with our kids," and "So blessed," and "Already the best son-in-law." Diana and I were in those photos, too visible in the background or at the edge of the frame, but we were never tagged, never mentioned. It was like we existed as extras in someone else's story. The differential treatment started affecting Diana more visibly. In October, her birthday rolled around. She was turning 36 and I wanted to celebrate properly. I invited my parents to dinner at our house 3 weeks in advance, giving them plenty of notice. They said they would love to come, but then called back 2 days before to cancel. Tyler's band had a show that night, and they had promised Ashley they would go support him. I reminded my mother that I had told her about Diana's birthday weeks ago. She said Tyler had only just told them about the performance, and they could not disappoint Ashley. I asked what about disappointing Diana. My mother told me not to be dramatic and promised they would make it up to her later. They never called Diana on her birthday. They never sent a card. They did not even text. That evening, while we were having dinner with some friends we had invited instead, Ashley posted photos on social media showing my parents at Tyler's show, beaming proudly as they posed with him between sets. The caption said, "Best parents ever supporting my man." Diana saw that post. I watched her eyes go red, but she smiled and said it was okay that we did not need them to have a good time. That was the moment I felt actual anger start to replace the disappointment. The favoritism accelerated like a car with cut brakes. Tyler asked my parents if he could borrow $800 to get his car repaired. They gave it to him and told him not to worry about paying it back. The following week, I mentioned to my father that I had fronted $300 for an air conditioning repair at their house 2 months earlier. I was not demanding repayment, just noting it in conversation. My father said they were a little tight that month and asked if I could wait until next month. I waited. I never saw that money. November arrived, and with it came the shadow of Thanksgiving. My mother called me one afternoon, her voice casual and light. She told me they were hosting Thanksgiving at their house like always. I felt a small surge of relief. Maybe things would be normal for once. Diana was already planning to make her grandmother's sweet potato pie a recipe that had been passed down through 3 generations. I mentioned this to my mother, trying to rebuild some of that bridge. My mother's voice changed. There was a pause, a careful choosing of words, and then she said, "Actually, there was something we needed to discuss." Tyler's parents were coming in from out of state to meet the family. With everyone there, space was going to be tight. I reminded her that we had Thanksgiving at their house every year, and it was a large house with plenty of room. She said she knew, but with Tyler's parents, Ashley, Tyler, and them, the dining table only seated 8 people comfortably. I counted in my head. That was exactly 8 people, including Diana and me. I pointed this out. My mother said Tyler's parents were guests traveling from far away, and they needed to make them feel comfortable and welcome. The implication hit me like a punch. I asked directly if she was saying Diana and I should not come. She hesitated, then suggested maybe just me. Perhaps Diana could visit friends or something. I stood there in my kitchen phone pressed to my ear and finally understood what I should have seen years ago. In my parents' eyes, Diana was not family. She was not even close. She was an accessory, someone they tolerated, because she was attached to me, someone they could exclude the moment it became convenient. Tyler had been dating my sister for 6 months, but his parents were guests who deserved a seat at the table. Diana had been my wife for 8 years, and she could find somewhere else to be. I told my mother that Diana was my wife of 8 years, not some casual acquaintance. I pointed out that Tyler had been around for 6 months. My mother's voice turned irritated. She asked why I was making this so difficult, said it was just one Thanksgiving. I told her if Diana was not welcome, then I was not coming either. She said fine, suit yourself, and accused me of acting like a child. The line went dead. Diana and I stayed home that Thanksgiving. We cooked a small meal for just the 2 of us, turkey breast and mashed potatoes, and, yes, her grandmother's sweet potato pie. It should have been peaceful, but I kept checking my phone, kept wondering what was happening at my parents' house. Diana cried in the bathroom. She thought I did not hear, but I did. The sound of her trying to muffle her sobs cut deeper than anything my parents had said. Late that afternoon, Ashley posted a family photo on social media. My parents sat at the head of the table smiling broadly. Ashley and Tyler were on one side. On the other side sat 3 people I did not recognize, a middle-aged couple and a younger man. The caption read, "Thankful for family old and new," with a red heart emoji. I counted the people in that photo. 9. The dining table that supposedly only seated 8 comfortably had 9 people around it. That meant there had been room. There had always been room. They had not excluded us because of space constraints. They had excluded us because they wanted Tyler's brother there more than they wanted Diana there. That realization hurt worse than anything else. It was not about logistics. It was about priority, about who mattered. and who did not. Early December brought a phone call from my mother. Her voice sounded normal, cheerful, even as if Thanksgiving had never happened. She asked about our Christmas plans. I was still raw from the holiday we had spent alone, still processing the deliberate exclusion. I told her we were thinking of staying home this year. She laughed and said not to be silly, that we should come over Christmas Eve like we always did. I could not believe what I was hearing. After everything, she expected us to just show up and pretend nothing had happened. I asked if she really thought Diana would want to come back after Thanksgiving. My mother's voice took on that edge of annoyance, the tone that said I was being unreasonable. She said Thanksgiving was different, that she had explained the situation. I shot back that the situation was my wife of 8 years, being treated as less important than a guy who had been around for 6 months. My mother said I was being unfair. She said Tyler was going to be part of the family. Those words rang in my ears. Tyler was going to be part of the family. Diana, who had been legally and emotionally part of our family for 8 years, still had not earned that designation. But Tyler, with his guitar and his charm and his 6 months of dating my sister, he was already in. I felt exhausted. I asked what time we should come to Christmas, already regretting the question. My mother's voice shifted again, became more careful. She said there was something she needed to tell me first. Tyler had proposed to Ashley the week before. I offered flat congratulations. She continued, saying they were planning an engagement party, and Christmas Eve was the perfect timing since everyone would already be together. I processed this slowly. They were turning Christmas into Ashley's engagement party. My mother seemed to sense my thoughts because she kept talking. Tyler's parents were coming back. His siblings, too. It was going to be crowded. The air left my lungs. I knew where this was going before she even said it. My mother suggested that maybe Diana could sit this one out. She said it was really about celebrating Ashley and Tyler, that with Tyler's entire family attending, they just did not have space for everyone's plus ones. Plus one. She called my wife of 8 years a plus one. I repeated the word back to her, my voice rising. She said she knew I would overreact. I asked her to clarify just so there would be no misunderstanding. She wanted me to come to Christmas without my wife to celebrate my sister's engagement to a man she had known for half a year, while making room for his entire extended family. My mother said, when I put it like that, I made it sound bad. I asked her how else I should put it. She said it was just one day that I should support my sister. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Diana was standing in the kitchen doorway. She had heard everything. Her face looked tired, worn down by years of being treated like she did not matter. She told me I should go, that Ashley was my sister. I looked at this woman who had been by my side through everything. She had sat in the hospital when I had emergency appendix surgery, holding my hand through the fear. She had used her savings to pay off my last student loan when I lost my job, and money was impossibly tight. She had learned to cook all my comfort foods, had sent gifts to my parents every holiday. Despite how they treated her, had never once asked me to choose between her and them. I told her no. I was not going. She started to protest, but I said I was done. She asked what I meant. I walked to my laptop and opened my email. I found the automatic reminder I had set up years ago, property tax due January 15th. The amount glowed on the screen. $4,200. Over 3 years I had paid $12,600 for a house where my wife was not welcome. I deleted the reminder. Diana asked what I was doing. I told her I was choosing her the way my parents should have chosen us years ago. Christmas Eve came and went. I did not go. I did not call, did not send a text. Ashley messaged me asking if I was really going to miss her engagement party. I did not respond. The day after Christmas, my father called. He said my mother was hurt that I had embarrassed them. I asked how I had embarrassed them after what they did to Diana. He said they were my parents and deserved respect. I said Diana deserved respect, that she had been nothing but good to them for 8 years. My father said this was about Tyler and Ashley, not about Diana. That sentence crystallized everything. I told him no, it had always been about Diana. They had never accepted her. I asked when was the last time they had inquired about her job, her family, her life. When was the last time they had treated her like she actually belonged? He went silent. I said I was done pretending any of this was normal. I hung up. Mid-January, my mother called. Her voice was steady businesslike. The property tax was due next week. Could I transfer the money like usual? She asked it as if this were any other year, as if the last 2 months had not happened, as if I had not made myself clear. I said no. One word, clear and final. She asked what I meant. I repeated myself. I was not paying it anymore. She said I had always paid it, her voice rising with something between confusion and panic. I told her I had spent $12,600 over 3 years on a house where my wife was not welcome. She said, Jamal, this was their home. I said then they should pay for it themselves, or ask Tyler, or Ashley, or Tyler's parents they seemed to love so much. My mother's voice cracked. She said I could not be serious. I told her I had never been more serious in my life. They had made their choice. Now I was making mine. She said they would lose the house. I said the county did not care about family drama, and neither did I anymore. I hung up and blocked their number. January 15th came and went. I did not transfer the money. For the first time in 3 years, my parents had to handle it themselves. They called repeatedly over the next week. I never answered. Ashley sent a long email calling me cruel and heartless, saying I was punishing them for not catering to my wife's feelings. I deleted it without reading past the first paragraph. March arrived with news through extended family. My parents had to take out a small loan to cover the overdue property tax. The penalties for late payment had been steep. They also sold their second car, the one my mother used for errands to help cover expenses. Ashley and Tyler contributed nothing. They were saving for their wedding. I felt no guilt when I heard this. I felt relief. Diana asked me one night if I regretted it. I told her never. We started building new traditions, just the two of us. Christmas became about us sometimes with close friends, never with the weight of obligation to people who made us feel small. We took the money that used to go to property taxes and booked a trip to Jamaica to visit Diana's family. Her parents welcomed me like I had always belonged there. The contrast was not lost on either of us. A year passed. Our lives were better, lighter, free from the constant tension of family gatherings where we were tolerated rather than celebrated. My parents occasionally sent emails, short messages, asking how we were testing the waters. I did not respond. Ashley got married to Tyler in a ceremony I was not invited to. Or maybe I was invited and declined. I honestly do not remember because by then it did not matter. The thing about cutting off toxic family is that people will call you selfish. They will say blood is thicker than water, that you only get one family, that you will regret it someday. But those people do not understand what it feels like to be invisible in your own family. They do not know what it is like to watch your wife be treated like she is less than human while a stranger gets the red carpet treatment. They have never had to choose between the people who raised you and the person who chose you. I chose Diana. I would choose her 1,000 times over. Because family is not just about who you are related to by blood. Family is about who shows up for you, who sees your worth, who treats you with love and respect even when it is inconvenient. My parents were related to me, but they stopped being family the moment they decided my wife did not matter. Blood might make you related, but it does not make you family. Real family is built through action, through respect, through showing up even when it is hard. My parents showed me exactly who they were and what I meant to them. I believed them, and then I walked away. I do not know if they ever understood why I cut them off. I do not know if they connected the dots between excluding Diana and losing their son. Part of me thinks they blamed me entirely, painted me as the villain who abandoned his family over petty disagreements. Let them think that. Let them tell that story to whoever will listen. I know the truth. Diana knows the truth. That is enough. Sometimes people ask if I will ever reconcile with them. The answer is I do not know. What I do know is that any reconciliation would require them to acknowledge what they did, to genuinely apologize to Diana, to understand that they treated her abhorrently for years, and that their behavior was unacceptable. I am not holding my breath. People who treat others poorly rarely believe they have done anything wrong. They will justify and rationalize until they have rewritten history in their minds. But that is their burden to carry, not mine. I am free. Diana and I built a life together that is not weighed down by people who make us feel less than we are. We have friends who love us both, who include us equally, who celebrate our relationship instead of merely tolerating it. We have peace. That peace is worth more than maintaining a relationship with people who never valued what we had. If you have ever been in a position where you had to choose between family who hurt you and the life you built for yourself, I want you to know that choosing yourself is not selfish. Protecting your peace is not cruel. Walking away from people who diminish you is not giving up. It is growing up. It is recognizing that you deserve better and then having the courage to demand it. So, have you ever had to cut off family to protect yourself or someone you love? Have you ever been made to feel invisible by the people who were supposed to see you most clearly? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss future stories. Share this with anyone who needs to hear that they are not wrong for setting boundaries, even with family. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there feel less alone in their own difficult choices. Stay strong, take care of yourself, and remember that you are worth more than how others treat you.